What if the most powerful institution in the United States, the one that controls your mortgage, your savings, and the value of your paycheck, wasn't created by the government but by a secret cartel of billionaires on a private island? In November 1910, 6 men representing the wealth of the Rockefellers, the Morgans, and the Rothschilds boarded a private train in New Jersey. They traveled under fake names, instructed never to speak to the press, and headed to a remote hunting club on Jekyll Island, Georgia. For 10 days, they crafted a plan that would give private bankers total control over the American money supply. This wasn't a meeting of statesmen. It was a boardroom coup against the U.S. Treasury. This is the story of the Jekyll Island secret, the night the dollar became a debt and the world's economy was handed to the elite. Welcome to History's Echo. We deconstruct the financial architecture of power. We follow the gold and the ledgers that the official history books are too afraid to audit. If you're ready to see how the world is really funded, subscribe and join us. The year was 1910. The United States was a nation of financial chaos. Bank runs were common, and the public was growing angry at the money trust, the small group of Wall Street bankers who controlled the nation's credit. The bankers knew they had a problem. If the people didn't trust them, they would eventually demand a government-controlled central bank. To prevent this, the bankers realized they had to create a central bank themselves, but they had to make it look like it was a government institution. The mastermind was Senator Nelson Aldrich, a man so closely tied to the Rockefellers that he was known as the insider's insider. He invited 5 other men to join him for a duck hunting trip. Among them were Paul Warburg, a brilliant German-born banker representing the Rothschilds, Frank Vanderlip, the president of the most powerful bank in New York, and Henry Davison, a partner at J.P. Morgan & Co. Together, these 6 men represented about 1/4 of the entire wealth of the world at that time. They traveled to Jekyll Island, a private resort owned by J.P. Morgan and other elites. For 10 days, they debated and drafted what would eventually become the Federal Reserve Act. The technology of this plan was the big lie. They knew the American public would never accept a central bank controlled by Wall Street. So, they gave it a name that sounded like a government department: the Federal Reserve System. They designed it so that the regional banks would be owned by private member banks, while the Board of Governors would be appointed by the president. It was the perfect marriage of private profit and public authority. Paul Warburg was the architect of the technical details. He understood that to control a nation, you don't need to control its people. You just need to control the elasticity of its currency. By creating a system where the government would borrow money from the Fed at interest, they ensured that the United States would be in permanent debt. Every dollar printed by the Fed is a debt to the Fed. This is the engine of inflation that has devalued the U.S. dollar by over 95% since 1913. When the men returned from Jekyll Island, they didn't present the plan as their own. Instead, they launched a massive PR campaign, using their control of the media to convince the public that this new Federal Reserve would stop bank runs and stabilize the economy. When the bill was finally passed in late December 1913, while many congressmen were home for the holidays, the bankers had won. The money trust had been legalized. The consequences of that secret meeting are staggering. Since the creation of the Fed, the U.S. has faced the Great Depression, the stagflation of the 70s, and the Great Recession of 2008. In each crisis, the Fed has used its power to bail out the very banks that own it, while the average citizen pays the price through inflation and taxes. The technology of the Fed is the technology of the transfer of wealth, the slow, invisible siphoning of the people's labor into the vaults of the global elite. Today, the Jekyll Island Club is a museum, but the system created there rules the world. The Fed is neither federal nor does it have any reserves. It is a private cartel that operates with zero accountability. The secret of 1910 is the reason why the rich get richer while the middle class disappears. It proves that the most powerful weapon in history isn't a bomb. It's the ability to create money out of thin air and charge interest on it. The men who left Jekyll Island in 1910 changed the course of human history without ever firing a shot. They realized that if you control the currency, you control the country. As we stand on the edge of a new financial era, one of digital currencies and total surveillance, we must ask ourselves, are we repeating the secret of 1910? Is our future being decided on another private island right now? This is History's Echo. If you want to stay ahead of the ledgers of power, subscribe and join our community. Turn on notifications so you never miss a revelation. Tell us in the comments, do you think the Federal Reserve should be audited? We'll see you in the next shadow.